and welcome to this episode of the Branching Out podcast. In this episode, we're going to have a catch up with Sam Downing, our people advisor in the people team. So let's get started. Right. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. We kind of work in the same team, so we do see each other, but we also are in different areas of the team, so we don't see each other as much. So it's good to see you.
Good
It's
to
been a
see
while.
you. Yeah, look, I can't remember the last time I saw you in the flesh, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because as you can probably hear, I don't live in Billericay.
No, neither do I, though, to be fair. I'm in the north of Essex, so I'm in it's almost like you can almost draw a line between in the middle of Essex. There's northern Essex and southern Essex, and it's just different. It's just different. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like if you live anywhere north of Essex, anywhere southern is just London. So
Yeah.
to me, everybody lives in London. It's fine. I know I'm probably going to get some stick for that, but you all just live in London, and that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. We just live in the south. Yeah. Well, it's like I like when you go north and it's just the north
The north.
Yeah, you're going on the
Do you know
signs on
what,
the road. It's
actually?
just the north.
The north, but one thing I would like to address, because you've given me a platform, is the Midlands is a real place. So everyone, there's this like north of, what is it, the Watford Gap is just the north. It's not. There's a lovely little, it's not lovely, it's quite hideous. There's an area in the middle of the north and the south called Midlands, and it exists and it's a real thing. So
No,
point number one made.
I've been to the Midlands. There's a few areas of the UK I've yet to explore, but I've been to the Midlands and it isn't a bad place to be. It's nice.
It's okay. It's average
Okay,
to poor.
right. Anyways, well, since we've gotten off to such a great start, Sam, obviously some people may still know you or remember you from doing some recruitment work for them in the past.
Yeah.
So you started the role in the people team at the end of last year, towards kind of the end of last year in the third quarter. I guess, could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days and what your role is at Ground Control?
Sure. I think, as with anyone's role in ground control, it's an ever-evolving thing, I guess. So I've half transitioned away from recruitment, but I'm still very involved in the Team Taylor system and helping out with a couple of bits and pieces going on in maintenance as well. So if anyone does have any questions about the recruitment system, that's still me. So you can still talk to me about that.
Guru.
Still the one and only for Team Taylor, for my sins. But in terms of kind of the new role, so it's very much led by what the needs are at the moment. So it could be anything from kind of talking to managers on issues that are going on in their area. There's a lot of TUPE in, TUPE out with different sites. It could be dealing with, employee relations cases. Unfortunately, we do have a fair few of those, but also dealing with things like requests for flexible working, looking at different policies, running bits of training. I've done a bit of work with Claire on modern slavery and do some training on our Severn Trent contract. So it's really varied. There's a lot to learn, but it's good. Using my brain.
You're keeping busy is what it sounds like, and it's really varied, which probably keeps you a bit on your toes. I mean, a lot of people probably would say their job keeps them on their toes at Ground Control, so that's fine. It's good. It keeps things interesting. It would be boring otherwise, wouldn't it? So
yeah, and I think with recruitment, it's really repetitive, and I love that about recruitment. But this is completely different because it's just learning a whole new world of things that you kind of touch on doing, recruitment, and same with you in L&D. You kind of understand a little bit about what like the sister departments do, but it's looking at it in more detail, and there's a hell of a lot to learn, and there's so much more that goes on in HR than what I think anyone realizes, to be honest.
Yeah, well, people are people, so I mean, there's lots of things to do to keep people like happy and working, and that's kind of part of it. And there's always the admin bits of bringing people in and people going, and obviously contracts come and go. So yeah, no, there's a lot to it. And we do appreciate that in training. We do work closely with you guys, especially on certain projects.
Yeah.
So do you even have a typical week? Could we say that? Is there a typical week? Is there things that you do on a regular?
I don't. I'd be interested to know if anyone's answered yes to that question so far. Yes, I have a typical week, and it looks exactly like this. You have the plan for the week, and then you have like the ongoing projects in the background. So I'm trying to do a bit of kind of tweaking and editing with our Bob system. So looking at some of the processes behind that, seeing how we can tweak them to make things a little bit more automated. But then there's also, reviewing different bits and pieces, legislation changes. So, recently there's been a bit of an update in sexual harassment law. So we've kind of launched new training for that. And it's one of those where you're not waiting for things to happen. You have like your steady list of things that you have to do and get done. And then something happens and you kind of have to drop everything and do that instead. But I think, it's very ground control typical, which is why we all love it here. So
yeah, I mean, the legislation stuff, nobody can help. It's gonna happen. That's why everyone's been sent out sexual harassment training. Is because the government expects it to be done. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do what's expected of us. So
gonna do the thing.
Yep. So it's not like we are woke up one day and decided to issue out training. That's never the case.
What was really funny, like in that piece of training in particular, was because we did there's kind of the new e-learning that you guys put out, and then we also put out like a bit of a policy bite-sized session if people wanted more information. And the amount of people that asked me like, what's happened for us to need this? I was like, nothing's happened. Why do we assume something really horrible has happened? And now we have to all do this training.
It's just to keep something bad from happening, basically. And also because we've been told it needs to happen. Which I guess is one of the challenges is keeping on top of kind of what's going on legislative wise and employment law wise. I guess, is that something you're kind of, obviously you're getting more into now with this new role, and this kind of jumps ahead in our conversation a bit. Is there certain things that or certain sites that you use to keep informed about employment law?
Yeah, so I've actually started today an employment law course, which is far more interesting than it sounds when you say it out loud. So 10 o'clock this morning was my first lecture on employment contracts and kind of reviewing the nitty gritty into there and how it links in with different legislation. But I think in line with having a new Labour government, there's lots of imposed changes that haven't come in yet. We're all kind of waiting to see, is this going to be, brought in, or is this going to change? So it's a really weird time in employment law at the moment where everyone's a little bit kind of on the edge, just waiting to see what's going to happen and how that affects things moving forward. So, but yeah, it's the Daniel Barnett employment law course, and you can sign up to his sort of email alerts of different things that change, and he kind of keeps you really up to date with the policies and procedures and stuff like that. There's also the ACAS website. They kind of
they're the go-to, aren't they?
Everything. Really. So it's always good to keep an eye on that. And they do a lot of free courses as well on various different topics. So they did one last week on mental health at work, and they're quite interesting to sign up to, just to kind of refresh your knowledge. And all of those are recorded as well, so you can kind of log in and watch those any point you want. So it's on the list.
That's actually probably quite good for our field teams, our business owners, to know about those free resources like ACAS, because I mean, they're not going to probably sit through employment law training as much. So I don't think anyone other than, no offense, Sam, other than you folk in HR would really want to sit through an employment law training. Bless you.
But again, I don't know if that's just HR folk that would agree that it's interesting.
Well, depends on the topic, I suppose. So is there anything kind of what are you guys really working on in this beginning of the year as a team? What's happening that would be good for the business to know about?
Well, there's a lot going on at the minute. So we've just had Lucy join as our business partner for maintenance. So we're kind of working towards a business partnering model there. So obviously me and Misha are giving sort of the advisor HR support, but Lucy's really there to deliver that business partnering element. So that's really exciting. Tail end of last year and kind of moving forwards, we did a lot of manager toolkits and policy bite-sized sessions and that sort of thing. So we're going to be doing more of that this year, but we really like that feedback from the business as to what they want to know more about. Is there any topics that people want to go in over? So things like recording sickness on Bob, or things like your sexual harassment training or modern slavery training. If there's anything really that managers want more support and information on, we'd be really keen to hear about that, so we can put that together. But there's been a lot about managing absence, managing performance, managing a disciplinary. So there's a lot already out there, but we can continue with those because the feedback has been that they're quite helpful. And we've got a page almost ready to go that Misha's worked really hard on that will have all of that content kind of published in one place for everyone as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to be adding it to GC Learning so people can also go on there. So you have it's available to you no matter what, you can get to it and refer back to it. So that's really good. I think that's people keep an eye out for that. It's a great plug for especially new managers that aren't familiar with all the expectations and extra admin that comes with the additional responsibility of management. And it can be a bit daunting when you don't know. So it's good that we are providing that training to our people.
Especially with Bob still being we've had it well over 12 months now, but it's still a relatively exciting new thing for the business and really utilising and using that properly. We've had some great feedback on Bob from managers that, it's really easy to use and everything's recorded in one place and it's easy to find information. But it's just making sure that we input that data correctly. I'm not going to do the paraphrase of something in, something out, but we all know what I mean. If anyone needs any help or support with anything to do with that, we'd be really keen to hear, so we can make sure that we're tailoring that training to make sure it's what people really need.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, there you go, people. Please reach out to Sam and the people team if you would like some further support with that and some further ideas around management or in general people training. So I'm going to switch a little bit. I've got a feeling, we all have our stereotypical HR people like in TV shows like The Office and things like that. What do you think are some misconceptions or stereotypes about people team or HR in general?
I keep using the term HR, but it's not. We are the people team. But then I think because we're a wider people team, it's like we're that branch of the people team. I think there's a lot of
You're the people part of the people.
The people within the people team that do the people stuff. So I do keep using the term HR, which I'm sure Claire and Lisa won't be very happy about. So apologies if you're listening, but that's what it is. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the people within the people team that do the people stuff. One of the biggest misconceptions that I've kind of come across so far is the role of HR within the business. So it's not HR to manage people. It's not HR to decide that people need disciplinaries. It's HR's job to advise managers on how to properly manage their people and to make sure that we're doing it in accordance with policy, procedure and employment law. So it's not that HR is going to reject your request or anything like that. We work with managers to ensure that they're doing that correctly. HR's not making all the decisions and pulling all the strings, so to speak. Another one that I've heard quite a lot is, I don't want to involve HR because then it makes it like this big official thing. You can ask HR for advice on anything, and that doesn't mean it's going to be documented or pulled into a formal process or anything like that. If you do just want any advice on anything, please do reach out to your people partner or your people advisor. I think we're all quite friendly. Anyone that's seen Misha at any of the grounds maintenance conferences knows that she likes a bit of a laugh as well. So, we're not stuffy HR people that are really unapproachable. Anyone that's worked with me in recruitment, I think I'm quite down to earth. I'll tell you what I think about things, whether that's right or wrong. So, I think just, reach out to your HR team. They're there to help you at the end of the day, but they're not there to make the decisions for you, but they can advise you on what the correct thing to do is with the information that you've given us, really.
No, that's brilliant. I think that really does sum you guys up, and you are a good, lovely, fun team to work with, and we do have a good laugh once in a while when we all get together. So brilliant. So we're gonna flip back a little bit to, so you talked a little about the wonderful employment law training that you are completing now, and you talked about ACAS. Development wise, is there anything else you've done in the last year, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you're looking to do in the future?
Yeah, sure. So, really close to me transitioning to this role, actually, I finished the Accelerate module with the GC Academy, which
Yep.
was really, really good. And I think, I had a catch up with Jez last week and the people that also finished the cohort. And there was a lot of discussions around, was it changed to 18 months and was that the right thing to do? And was it the right location? Because it was kind of up in Stoke, and there was a lot of
Yep.
questions around that. And I think for me, it was so valuable as an experience. It really gave me good exposure to the business, because I think being in a support function, you
Yep.
tend to be quite siloed to the business unit that you support. So I feel like I know a lot of people in maintenance, know a lot about maintenance, about winter
Yep.
maintenance, but I didn't necessarily know anything about utilities or rail or LDE, and it's meeting other people from across the business. I found that really helpful, but also it forces you to do a hell of a lot of self-reflection, which I found really uncomfortable. So I'm not
Yeah.
a manager here now, but in my old job, I managed a team of like 11 people. So it was valuable to me in terms of leadership, and it really made me think of some of the practices that I've done before that were quite negative, and the
Yeah.
reasons that I did them, and where that came from. So I think in terms of, again, a bit of a plug for GC Academy, it's definitely worth doing. I found it so helpful, and having that gap in between each module of the 2 months really made me reflect on it. And I remember one of the worst modules, in my opinion, that we did was something called pig wrestling. And I think there's a few people across the business that would be
Okay. I'm going to need to elaborate that a little bit.
So,
You're not wrestling pigs.
You get in a ring with a pig and you wrestle the pig. No. So you have a problem and you discuss this problem with one of your colleagues, but they're kind of not really allowed to give you an answer, and they have to, there's all these kind of like probing questions as to how you need to tackle the problem. And we all have insights, and I think I'm red as a red thing. Anyone that knows me well knows that. And I'm very much, if I've got a problem and I can't figure it out myself and I've come to you to ask you for help, I want an answer. I don't want you to ask me all of these questions so I get to the answer myself, because I've thought about it and I don't know the answer. That's why I need help. And pig wrestling was so exposing to why you think in the way that you think, and kind of challenging your ideals around, logic and why people do things, and taking things personally. And that really rattled me doing that module. And then because we had such a gap in between doing that and then doing the next module, because it was kind of every 2 months, I had to really dwell on it and come to terms with it, which for me was really good for my development, even though I would have loved to have just brushed that under the carpet and moved on to the next thing. It really makes you look at all of the reasons why you're probably not progressing and how that affects the people around you, because your leadership style, even if you're not leading a team, if you work in a team, the way that you behave and the way that you communicate things is going to affect the people around you and their performance. So that was one of the main things I took from the Accelerate program. And then I've moved into this new role, which has got all this change and all these challenges. And it's kind of, remember when you learned about this, apply that, change curve, it's fine, don't panic. Imposter syndrome, it's fine, don't panic. So it's given me some really, really valuable lessons to move forwards with.
That's good. Yeah, we should do like a whole promotion video with you as our like talker about the GC Academy. That was brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really good. Yeah, no, it's good insight into the networking side and the self-reflection, which none of us really probably always want to analyze.
But it's one of those, if you don't,
good. It's good.
Yeah, if you don't look at the issues, you're not going to get over them, are you? Being aware of them is one thing, but actually doing something about it in practice is a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, having that growth mindset that Mr. Oliver likes to promote. Exactly. So you're doing the employment law. Is there anything else that you are looking to do in the next year to forward your development? Obviously, you've got a new role. It's kind of learn as you do as well a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of learning, which I haven't really engaged my brain in learning new things in quite some time. So that's been an interesting thing that we're doing. I think moving forwards, I'd probably like to look at doing a CIPD, and I think people in the HR world have varying different views about how helpful those are, but I still think it's really important to have a qualification that kind of gives you that gravitas of, I know what I'm talking about because I have X qualification. I actually think you learn a hell of a lot by just doing the job and kind of coming across different scenarios. But I think having something to say, yes, I have trained and I've practiced, I've passed assessments on this topic, is very important. So that's probably something I'd look to do. after the employment law course, which is, I believe it's only 24 modules maybe, but they're rapid.
It's a lot.
It's like lectures every week. So that's going to be, quick fire.
Yeah, no, you're gonna get a lot of information in a very short time. So no, that's good. That's something good to look forward to, though, and that's another opportunity for you to network in your area of expertise, really, and getting opinions from other businesses.
Yeah.
Like hearing and seeing what other businesses are doing will only help you and ground control, really, and growing. So thank you for that.
And I think you could do it through the apprenticeship levy, which is even
there
better.
You go. Yeah, GC Grow. Woo, we're getting them all in. We're getting them all in today. GC Academy, GC Grow. No, brilliant. Thank you for that. Definitely, that's something that, I think Tyra put out something last week about GC Grow and horticulture. So definitely look at the apprenticeship levy if you are interested in further education. So obviously we've been talking a bit now, and I'm trying to keep everyone's time in mind here. So we're gonna end on one last question. And that's, it's everyone's favorite.
Go on.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given about working at ground control, I find really helpful. And when I speak to people that I've recruited when they're at their 6-week mark, I always pass this piece of advice on because I found it really helpful. And that's your to-do list that you write at the start of the week. You are never going to get to the end of it. And once you accept that, life here becomes a hell of a lot easier. So before I worked here, I was one of these where I had to finish every single task, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, do everything in a really orderly fashion. Everything needed to be completely perfect and it needed to be done, and couldn't move on to the next thing until it was done. And because we work at such a pace here, which I find really exciting, and the varying of work as well keeps you really engaged and really motivated, you're never going to get to the end of that list of things that you need to do, because more things just get added onto the end of it. So once you can accept that that list is just going to exist forever and you can just do what you can, then life becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, to-do lists are fluid, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending beast.
Yeah, no, I've started using Planner and Teams for my to-do list, because then you can just keep adding to it. And once in a while I go through and I actually did that.
Yeah.
You get a nice little,
right.
You get a nice little ding at the end of it as well. If you complete something, you get a ding and a
ding. Well, Misha got me onto OneNote, which I didn't realise was a thing.
Yep.
And then she called me a millennial because I didn't realise it was a thing. But it has genuinely changed my life. So that's piece of advice number 2. If you're not aware of OneNote, get involved.
Yeah, no, I use OneNote as well. OneNote and Planner and Teams, definitely. If you work at ground control, or even otherwise, honestly, they're so handy, and you can put it on your phone as well, and it will, if you're somebody that's out in the field a lot, you can put OneNote onto your phone as well, and then it just talks.
Nice. You can keep that never-ending to-do list with you at all times.
Just as a nice reminder. Oh, well, it's been really good catching up with you, Sam. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll have to catch up again soon. Thank you.
Soon. Perfect.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you again to Sam for speaking with us. If you would like to learn more about the GC Academy, which Sam referenced in our talk, please reach out to us in training. We are about to start rolling out the next cohort of folks. So please reach out to us at training@ground-control.co.uk. Again, this is open to everyone that works with ground control, whether you are a professional staff member or a field team. So look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, take care.